Good morning, Uganda. It is a Thursday, the day that actually launches the weekend, because to some of us, Friday is a weekend in itself. Good morning and welcome to the show. This is Good Morning Uganda, coming to you live from the Now Avenue on UBC TV. My name is Julie F. Nantaba. Now, Uganda turns to China amid U.S. funding cuts. What does that mean? What will it look like? We're definitely looking deep into this story on the real, so you might as well save the number 0709602592. Text WhatsApp to be part of that conversation a little later on. I am with Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono this morning. Robert, good morning.
A lovely morning to you, Julie. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine.
All right.
Just every day being a little bit upset with what is happening at the High Court.
I could tell by your tone.
In Gaba, that is Gaba Early Child Development Center, where every day that what comes out, experts coming, witnesses coming in this case. Right. Now, yesterday, as witnesses were coming, experts were testifying, the internet search, we find that the suspect was searching the internet on different styles of behavior. Beheading, yes. You know, when you find out that the suspect, this man, was also searching to find out baby nurseries or daycare centers. Wow. So even if he didn't do it at Gaba, he was going to commit it somewhere else. Allegedly, because he's still in court, and of course he's assumed or presumed innocent until a competent court convicts him with proof beyond reasonable doubt. Now, these things somehow, for a parent, and any Ugandan, by the way, hearing these testimonies coming up, sometimes you feel like, I know he's innocent until proven guilty by a competent court, but what are they waiting for? Right. You know, you've connected him to the scene of crime, but I earlier said we must learn how courts work. So they must go through all the judicial processes and find him innocent or guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Now, yesterday, the rain also brought in a funny scenario there, where the tent that had the judge, it was blown off, and she was rescued, then rushed off the scene. It is said that many interesting events are happening, and yes, from the blogger. Yeah, from the blogger who was knocked down by a prison vehicle, and now to that event of the tent, and many are calling on you, are suspecting him to be in the deep spiritual realm of things that, how are these things happening to him? Or if I may be a little bit African, or it is the blood of the young ones that is craving and causing rage. If I may be a little bit of an African. Oh, well. But also something, Julie, you know, these issues of people arguing over dead bodies, where they should be buried. I was watching the Mutanga, the family of Mutanga, to the family court where the children incriminate our parents, send the ash to us, we bury them. Sister Land, we're not sure that we are safe in Uganda, we can't come to bury them. Now, from the time these people died, that was on the 5th of July, 2025, till today, their bodies are in a funeral home. Wow. Never buried. The family says, no, your father was a heir to our father was a heir to our grandfather, so he has to be buried on the ancestral grounds. We have a Uganda, we have a culture. Now modernity and culture have met. The children are saying, no, we can do what the Indians do, send us the ash, let's bury our parent here. Because investigations are not completed, suspects have not been arrested, so we are not safe to come home and bury our parents. Right. But things are not that easy. And every time I look at people arguing, you say, so we saw the massacre, tycoon who died and the wife, the children buried this way, their father this way. Remember the Bob Misango. You know, when someone has died, Julie, would you feel importance of where your body is finally put to rest when you're already gone? It doesn't matter when you're gone. It really doesn't, because the afterlife is determined while you're still alive. Now let's have a look at what the local scene has, Robert. Well, our local scene, we begin with President Museveni, who has met former Ethiopian Prime Minister Haile Mariam Desalegn, now chairperson of the board of Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa at State Lodge, Nakasero. Now, the president commended AGRA's role in strengthening food systems through science and innovation and called for practical solutions suited to local conditions. He noted that the shift to zero grazing, saying traditional communal dams are becoming less effective, and stressed the need for modern water harvesting for irrigation and production. Museveni also backed homegrown farming approaches and highlighted the importance of boreholes in supporting households. Haile Desalegn said AGRA remains focused on improving agriculture across Africa as it marks 20 years of operations. In Uganda, AGRA supported training of agricultural scientists, strengthened seed systems, and backed government programs, including efforts to improve planning and access to climate financing. The organization also works with agro dealers to expand access to quality seeds and promotes better use of fertilizers and modern farming technologies. Government has launched investigations into the circumstances which led to the death of former woman member of parliament for Kalangala district, Helen Nachimuli. The Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Dr. Chris Wariomunsi, told Parliament during a sitting to pay tribute to the fallen legislator. Nachimuli has been described as a unifier with a commitment to socio-economic transformation of the people of Kalangala district. The MPs welcomed the move to investigate the cause of her death. The remains of the late Helen Nachimuli arrived at Parliament in the morning of yesterday, escorted by a police honor guard and received by the administration of Parliament. Later, there was a public viewing at the Parliament lobby where several dignitaries, including politicians, appeared. By 2 p.m., the Member of Parliament gathered at the chambers to pay tribute to the former legislator. Speaker Annette Among chaired the session. The casket was lifted to the chamber. The Prime Minister Robert Nabanja moved to ask that the August House recognizes the unwavering commitment of Nachimuli to the socio-economic transformation of the community in Kalangala district. Nachimuli involved herself in the move to empower young girls through education. The Prime Minister Nabanja recognized her role in the fight against HIV/AIDS through sports. At the time of her death, Nachimuli was serving as the Shadow Minister for Information and Anti-Corruption. Her former boss, Joe Senyonyi, held her firm position on transparency and accountability. The Prime Minister of Uganda, Robert Nabanja, directed that Bugoma Central Forest Reserve, located in Kikube district in Bunyoro sub-region, be handed over to the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities to stop further encroachment and its degradation. The directive follows a communication from the President directing the Prime Minister, Robert Nabanja, to ensure Bugoma Forest is protected. The Prime Minister made this directive yesterday at her office in Kampala during a meeting with State Minister in charge of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, Martin Mugara, and technical officers from the Ministry of Water and Environment. Now, winding up our local stories this morning, Uganda has advanced preparations to co-host the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations as they take stock from across the continent together, and people to gather in Kampala for these high-level games. The high-level 2027 Pamoja Africa Cup of Nations dialogue at Mistil Hotel in Kampala brought together top football administrators and government officials, signaling a move from planning to implementation. Leaders from Uganda, Kenya and Tanzania, the three co-host nations, are in attendance, experiencing confidence, and all timelines for hosting the tournament will be met. Now, with Uganda hosting a 2-day CAF dialogue, focuses on aligning operational strategies ahead of the tournament. The CAF delegation is led by Acting General Secretary, who highlighted the significance of the meeting in shaping Africa's premier football competition. Uganda's Minister for State for Sports, Peter Ogang, used the opening to reaffirm government's commitment, noting that resources have already been secured to deliver the tournament. And that brings us to the end of our local stories this morning. Let's see what Julie has for us on the international scene.
Right, a quick look at what the international scene has this morning. We're starting off with matters Iran and the U.S. Iran's chief negotiator in talks with the U.S. said it's not possible for the Strait of Hormuz to be reopened due to the blatant violations of the ceasefire by the U.S. and Israel. In a post on X on Wednesday, Mohammed Bagher Ghalibaf said that the violations include U.S. naval blockade of Iranian ports, which he said amounted to taking the global economy hostage, and warmongering by Israel on all fronts. Iran remains open to negotiations, said Iran President Masoud Pezeshkian, but he added breach of commitments, blockade and threats are a main obstacle to genuine negotiations. It appeared early Tuesday that the U.S. and Iran would hold new peace talks in Pakistan this week, but they have not yet. Vice President J.D. Vance, due to lead the U.S. delegation in those talks, remains in the U.S. On Tuesday night, U.S. President Donald Trump announced an extension to the U.S.-Iran ceasefire that was due to expire on Wednesday. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt later clarified that Trump's extension is open-ended and has no new deadline. She added that Trump is satisfied with the ongoing U.S. naval blockade against Iran and understands Iran is in a very weak position. Staying in the U.S., U.S. Navy Secretary John Phelan is leaving the Trump administration, the Pentagon announced on Wednesday. His departure will be effective immediately, Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell said in a social media post. Navy Undersecretary Hang Chow will serve as acting secretary. Parnell added, Phelan is the latest high-ranking military leader to leave the administration in recent months. His departure comes amid the U.S.-Israel war with Iran and the continued U.S. blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. On behalf of the Secretary of War and Deputy Secretary of War, we are grateful to Secretary Phelan for the service to the department and the United States Navy. Parnell wrote, we wish him well in his future endeavors. The Navy did not provide a reason for Phelan's departure. It comes just weeks after U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth asked Army Chief of Staff Randy George to step down from his post. Two other Army officials, General David Hodney and Major General William Green, have also been removed from their roles recently. Now onto the continent, and in particular Zambia. Mulivanje, the Zambian government has said it has taken possession of the body of former President Edgar Lungu, who died in South Africa 10 months ago against the wishes of the family. Another story of a dead body, Robert, here. But it is the latest episode in a row over what should happen to his remains following a long-standing feud between Lungu and his successor, President Hakainde Hichilema. The government has maintained that as a former head of state, he should be honored in the country and buried alongside his predecessor in the special presidential burial ground in the capital, Lusaka. But Lungu's family wanted a private burial, and negotiations with the government over the funeral arrangements broke down. However, last August, a South African court ruled that Zambia's government could repatriate the body and give him a state funeral. The family appealed against the decision, but the body's transfer follows their inability to proceed with their case at the appeals court. And a statement from Zambia's Attorney General Mulilo Kabesha said Interviewed on Zambian YouTube news channel on Wednesday evening, Lungu family spokesperson Makebi Zulu disputed that the appeals process had lapsed, saying that the correct procedure had been followed. The family's lawyers have now made an urgent application to the High Court in South Africa for the former president's body to be returned to for the funeral at home where it was originally being kept. Interesting stories over dead bodies.
Now, state and family, why would you? Because yes, this person served the state. Unless the constitution has that every president, once you die, there's a particular cemetery where you have to be. But otherwise, I think the family has. You can be a president, but you mean more to your family.
To your family, that's true. Anyways, what do we have in the dailies this morning?
In the dailies, Nachimuli's family speaks out. Fibroids, what medics recommend. A silent health threat. Now, moving on, suspect's DNA found on killer knife. Something connecting him there. And ex-minister Azuba hailed. Then still in the New Vision, we have Commissioner, ask URA Commissioner General, where garbage imports banned. And of course, that is, but 3 days to go. That is to the MK at 52 marathon. Julie, I hope you've already purchased your kit.
Yeah.
And you're ready. And in the extra, yes, I'm going to be giving you more information regarding the run and why you should be part of that run. And also let you know that this has got nothing to do with any political affiliation. It's best running for a cause as we celebrate a life that has served this nation diligently. Now we move on to the Daily Monitor. Okero targeted 6 nursery schools. Imagine. He searched about church close to Gaba. He also searched about Bunga police station. He tried to find out how long it takes to acquire a firearm in Uganda. He also had searched about ISIS and specifically how to behead. Now it goes on, what are some of the schools or the daycare centers that he searched? We have Chanja Junior School, Matuga Preschool, Lama Kindergarten and Daycare Center Matuga, Mom's Love Kindergarten, Semuto Road, Edret ECD Kititi Road Matuga, and Golden Infant Kindergarten Matuga. So this man has some of the evidence coming in there. Then MPs demand answers to Nachimuli's death. That is in the Daily Monitor. Vocational schools tighten entry rules. But remember, you can have these and more when you get yourself a copy of either the New Vision or the Daily Monitor. Let's see what our brothers and sisters in Kenya and Tanzania have in the print media.
Right, a quick look at what Tanzania has. The Citizen there revealed what really drives East Africa fuel cost disparities. That's the headline on there. How state-owned telco made a turnaround, and who's who in Chande Commissioner's team hands in report. Quick look at the Daily Nation. From Kenya, most expensive presidency. Pushback. State House says budgets for all offices are passed by Parliament. Also, Wetangula sparks row over MP's role in national ID cards. More of those stories from the dailies all over East Africa, bringing us to the end of what we have as updates this morning, taking us into a break. When we get back, we're talking about the issue of refugees in Uganda, the refugee crisis as Uganda now turns to China. 0709 602592 by text WhatsApp. Let's have a short break. We'll be right back. Good morning. Good morning, Uganda. It is a Thursday, the day that actually launches the weekend, because to some of us, Friday is a weekend in itself. Good morning and welcome to the show. This is Good Morning Uganda, coming to you live from the Nile Avenue on UBC TV. My name is Julie F. Nantaba. Now, Uganda turns to China amid U.S. funding cuts. What does that mean? What will it look like? We're definitely looking deep into this story on The Real, so you might as well save the number 0709602592. Text WhatsApp to be part of that conversation a little later on. I am with Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono this morning. Robert, good morning.
A lovely morning to you, Julie. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine.
All right.
Just every day being a little bit upset with what is happening at the High Court.
I could tell by your tone.
In Gaba, that is Gaba Early Child Development Center, where every day that what comes out, experts coming, witnesses coming in this case.
Right.
Now, yesterday, as witnesses were coming, experts were testifying, the internet search, we find that the suspect was searching the internet on different styles of beheading.
Beheading, yes.
You know, when you find out that the suspect, this man, was also searching to find out baby nurseries or daycare centers.
Wow.
So even if he didn't do it at Gaba, he was going to commit it somewhere else. Allegedly, because he's still in court, and of course he's assumed or presumed innocent until a competent court convicts him with proof beyond reasonable doubt. Now, these things somehow, for a parent, and any Ugandan, by the way, hearing these testimonies coming up, sometimes you feel like, I know he's innocent until proven guilty by a competent court, but what are they waiting for?
Right.
You know, you've connected him to the scene of crime, but I earlier said we must learn how courts work. So they must go through all the judicial processes and find him innocent or guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Now, yesterday, the rain also brought in a funny scenario there, where the tent that had the judge, it was blown off, and she was rescued, then rushed off the scene.
It is said that many interesting events are happening, and
yes, from the blogger.
Yeah, from the blogger who was knocked down by a prison vehicle, and now to that event of the tent. And many are calling on you, are suspecting him to be in the deep spiritual realm of things that, how are these things happening to him? Or
if I may be a little bit African, or it is the blood of the young ones that is craving and causing rage. If I may be a little bit of an African.
Oh, well.
But also something, Julie, you know, these issues of people arguing over dead bodies, where they should be buried. I was watching the family of Mutanga, to the family court, where the children incriminate our parents, send the ash to us, we bury them. Sisterland, we're not sure that we are safe in Uganda, we can't come to bury them. Now, from the time these people died, that was on the 6th of July, 2025, till today, their bodies are in a funeral home.
Wow.
Never buried. The family says, no, your father was a heir to our father was a heir to our grandfather, so he has to be buried on the ancestral grounds. We have Uganda, we have...
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Exercise can't be sustained. Eating can't be stopped. It's even harder to lose weight. Come and give it a try. Genshikang L-carnitine chromium capsules. Plant extract, scientific ratio. Take 3 capsules each time. The active ingredient accelerates fat burning, eat twice a day. Don't take a detour. Weight loss starts now. Ginshikang L-carnitine with chromium capsules helps you stay in shape. Please follow medical advice when taking this product. For more information, visit our website www.hgo.com or call 0800 335555.
My question is, what is the difference between rental tax and income tax? How comes I'm paying both taxes on my own premises? If you want to have a tin, but you are not making any income from your business, you should take on the obligation to continue filing your nil return.
Commissioner General, to invest in taxation. When people understand taxes and they know the importance of taxes and they know the fair assessment of these taxes they're supposed to pay, I think everybody will embrace taxation.
As banning groupage cargo clearance protects small traders who cannot afford to import full container loads individually and rely on consolidation to remain competitive. Cargo to come in groupage is consolidation, it's legitimate, and we can't ban it. What we have banned or what we have stopped is the use of container leaders. Now, Fiona, the good news I have for you is that among the new tax proposals,
now you can get direct answers. Send your tax-related questions via WhatsApp or SMS to 0790-141-887 and the Commissioner General of URA, John Musinguzi, will personally address them. Tune in to UBC News Tonight every Monday and Wednesday for expert insights and clear explanations. Booza Commissioner.
Good morning, Uganda. Thank you so much for watching this show. And if you're just joining in, you're welcome. This is Good Morning Uganda. Happens every single day, Monday to Friday, and happens on UBC TV every single morning. So thank you so much for choosing UBC TV this morning. If you started the show with us, thank you. Thank you for starting with us. Thank you for choosing to start your day with UBC TV. Now let's look at the refugee crisis in Uganda amidst a funding quagmire. We're having this conversation with you, all right? 0709602592 by text WhatsApp. And that is with myself, Julie F. Nantaba, and Robert Chirabo Nyonyi Ntono. Now, the government of Uganda is appealing to China, turning to China for funds amidst funding cuts. The government of Uganda has appealed to financially capable countries such as China to each contribute at least $1 million, that's about 3.7 billion Uganda shillings, towards refugee support following a significant funding cut by the United States to the United Nations. And the Office of the Prime Minister said that the country's refugee response programs have suffered a major setback after UN systems lost up to about $65 million therein. Think of entities such as the UNHCR there that was as well hit and definitely cutting off funding for many Ugandan refugees. But for you to chew on, tell us, in your opinion, what is the most effective way to support refugees as global aid continues to decline? 0709602592 by WhatsApp. But you can also engage our Twitter handle at UBCTV Uganda. The hashtag there is UBCGMU. Robert, how did Uganda become one of the most, or the world's largest refugee hosting, one of the world's largest refugee hosting countries? Keeping in mind that Uganda currently hosts about 1.6 million refugees, making it the largest in Africa and comes third in the whole world.
Actually, recent statistics have put it at 1.9.
Right.
So we host 1.9 million refugees. Now, the big question one would ask is, why Uganda?
How did we get here?
How did we get here? One, we have what we call the much cherished refugee policy. I've attended global summits, I've watched global summits where the UN, various countries praise Uganda and urge other countries to emulate or copy our refugee policy. If you read about it, what does it say? It treats a refugee more or less like a citizen. The only thing it doesn't have right to is participating in the country's politics in terms of voting.
Right.
So it gives a refugee all freedoms, all rights, and looks at refugees enabling them to do business, to sustain themselves. But also even those in camps, it creates a conducive atmosphere where they even get land. So that good policy, open door policy, is why you see that refugees across all countries, around all countries surrounding Uganda, where there is a little bit of insecurity, run to Uganda.
Right.
But also because Uganda has peace. It's a peaceful country, and they are guaranteed that when you go to Uganda, there will be peace. Over the years, what we are exporting is peace as a country. And you want to commend the wise leadership of our president for the so very many years he's been in power. Uganda has been a peaceful country. So a refugee cannot run from insecurity into another insecurity. They don't jump from a frying pan to fire. They go to a place that is peaceful. But the uniqueness with Uganda is that open door policy and our refugee policy, that they may not go to Rwanda, they may not go to Kenya that much, but know that when you go to Uganda, one, there's free movement. Two, you can do any job. If you have the qualifications, you can start any business. You can own property. One would tell you, but you see here, but the reality is these are owning property through leases, and some find ways and even buy. So in Uganda, you can even own property. So the conducive environment in Uganda makes it a place where many put first when they are looking for refugee. Yes.
One would wonder, where does that leave a Ugandan citizen at that? And just to look at it from now a flip side of things, another Ugandan would say, oh, if funding is cut, perhaps it will lessen the burden and allow us as Ugandans experience Uganda as we should. How would you speak into that?
Well, first we must accept that much as for political purposes, it's working for government. It's working for Uganda. But when we go down, if aid is not coming in as it should be coming in, refugees have put a lot of pressure on the local communities. When you go to the gazetted camps, sometimes you see battles of water bodies. Sometimes you see battles when it is a market day. When you come to the urban, because you have two types of refugees. We have those in camps or settlements, and we have what we call the urban refugees. Now the urban refugees is those that stay in the communities we stay. The Kabalagala, Lukulinanganda, Bunga. When you go to Chisenyi, there's even Chisomali zone. We have Muchiritria, we have Muchisudani. You know, we've even named areas that they have taken over. Now remember, there are people who belong to these areas. Influx of refugees, who I will tell you, has made rate shoot up. Because much as we call them refugees, they have money.
That's true. Some
of them have monies we can't explain how they make them. Because if you run away from your country, you're in Uganda, you're driving the most expensive cars, you're renting the most expensive houses within, but you're refugees. You know? When you go to businesses, so urban refugees confuse. Not to forget they're both rich and poor, because when you see these Congolese ladies that are moving with merchandise, they don't earn very much, Bambi. When you go downtown, those in this Kitengi, they don't earn so very much. But there are those that shock you. The international schools, but their status are refugees.
And it's
So-
funny that when you see their lifestyles, if you happen to neighbor them, you notice that they don't even work much.
Yes,
But they spend a lot.
and they spend a lot.
They rarely leave their homes to go work. If they leave, they are going for probably something leisure, very laissez-faire. But they spend a lot, and they never seem to run out of spending.
So now those ones have exerted pressure, both those in the camps, in the communities that have these camps, but also think of our land that we are gazetting. When you go to these refugee settlements, Chaka, when you go to a number of camps, at one time I visited about 2 of them, but Judy, miles of land that we've chosen to give to refugees.
And also looking even at, coming back to the urban refugees, you talked about the issue of rent, and it's dire. Because now many Ugandans are not able to get very decent houses or homes within their areas or near to their areas of work, simply because the landlord is strict with who their tenants are. Someone will outrightly tell you that I only want foreigners on,
Yes,
on
one
my
will
property.
tell you.
And foreigners, they mean refugees, Sudanese, Ethiopians, Eritreans, Somalis, and not Ugandans.
If an apartment is completed today, and the owner of that property says, I want tenants, and just one, sorry to use a particular, one Eritrean takes just one block, where the rest will come from, you will never know. And that entire block, and now for them they will pay longer, but also because they are not Ugandans, you won't have games with your tenants.
But I also think there should be some form of regulation, because
They pay on time. They won't disappear. They fear police. They won't disappear with areas.
It's denying many Ugandans a right to enjoy their country as they should. So I think there should be some form of regulation.
So these make these prices go high. Everything becomes high.
A cost of
in
living
a community,
is high.
the cost of living becomes very high. But also we should look at the positive side of the coin. Now, if I have my rentals and I have good tenants who pay on time and pay very well, even if I took a loan, I'll recoup the money faster. Right. Second, they create employment. Someone built that house. You go to entertainment places. Apart from now that they are beginning to have their own, if you've noticed.
And therein I wanted to cut you short in the sense of employment opportunities that they are creating. Many a times they still employ their own.
Their own.
If it's a salon, it won't have Ugandan
it's a salon. If it's a bakery, still you'll find their own. If it's a bar, now they're also having their own bars, and Ugandans can't enter there. But if some businesses, some have gone to some bigger businesses and they're employing some meaningful people, but also their power of purchase creates market, because some of these refugees don't eat differently from us. Then you look at what the Congolese eat, apart from their extreme foods that I won't mention on set. But they eat they'll buy our cassava, they'll buy our posho, they'll buy our meat. Eritreans still, they will need our wheat when I stock in my shop. So they inject currency into the economy because they have the power to spend.
Now let's look, stick our eyes on the funding bit of things. With the US having pulled out, how sustainable do you think the funding system shall be moving forward? I understand, of course, Uganda is appealing to countries like China and others. But how sustainable do you think it shall be?
First, Uganda's approach ensures that refugees are self-sustaining, that they are empowered so that they can work and sustain themselves. Even in the camps, you say there's a plan, there's a piece of land for these refugees to be able to sustain themselves. However, it's not that very easy for them to just come in. Now, I'm happy that we've gotten here, first and foremost. Of course, you had so many people working in these camps as Ugandans, medical personnel, communications, whatever. There's so much that was coming in office of the Prime Minister. But at one time, we knew that this was not going to be sustainable. And remember, refugees is not a Uganda problem. It's an imported problem. which is man-made problem. Why am I saying so? These refugees are not running away from natural calamities.
Right.
That, you know what happened, they had a hurricane or a tsunami in their country, now they are coming to Uganda. Because they're not running away from drought or famine. They're running away from a man-made problem. That is the power of the barrel of the gun. You go to Sudan, two generals have their issues. You come to Congo, insecurities that are created by man. They are running away from man-made problems and bring the problem to Uganda. So we are importing a problem, but on a humanitarian basis. Because if your brothers are dying, you can't tell them, go back. Now, why am I happy? That because to some extent, there has been benefits that come with the refugees. The aid. Most of the times we've seen stories, of course now they have reduced under the Right Honorable Robin Anabanja. But there was a time when issues of refugee aid were topping papers every day. How money has missed, how money has been stolen, how money. So we were getting, and because you were getting from them, we would not look at the reality that would befall us. Now that aid is cut, we sympathize with the refugees because now food rationing becomes an issue. If they were getting this amount, now they're not getting it. We already have those that are there. But we are going to go back to the drawing board. I remember it was on the 22nd and 23rd, 2017, we had the Refugee Solidarity Summit in Uganda.
Okay.
Remember by then Antonio Guterres was in Uganda, and His Excellency. Now this summit, we were bringing the world together to show them our problem and raise funds for the refugee crisis in Uganda. Guess what happened? We didn't even get half of the promises of these great nations that came in Uganda. I think it was at Munyonyo. I remember I covered that summit. I think I have a tag home. Right. Because I keep them. Now, we didn't even raise, and at one time, Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, I remember her, I think she was still the Speaker of Parliament, when she said, but you people, this is not our problem. But even when we brought the big boys that matter, people made the commitments. We didn't even get half of the money out of the Refugee Solidarity Summit. Yet we had this summit for people to know the plight, what you are going through.
And there was an expense into hosting it.
Yes, and big,
doesn't make sense.
Big shots, global big shots were in Uganda here.
Right.
So, when the funding, you see when money and benefits become scarce, you go back to the drawing board. That's when you say, you know, I've been living 50,000 a day. The truth is I can no longer live 50,000. I can live 30,000.
Right. In your opinion, what is the most effective way to support refugees amidst a global funding crisis? 07096025592 by text, WhatsApp, and engage. Now, looking at some of the comments that are coming through. Hi, good morning. Refugees presence in this situation in this nation has created some citizens with some job refugees presence, it's what you meant, in this nation has created some citizens with some job opportunities. Thank you very much for your opinion. And hi Julie, thank you for the show. This is teacher Igalagwa Edward from Buyende district. It's been a minute. Thank you for being on the show. The government should educate refugees, willing as this will curb high crime rate amongst themselves. Somebody else comes through and says, good morning, Ugandans. I'm Kula Hagai. Just wanted to answer my brother inside there that it's only in Uganda where refugees are treated like legal citizens, sometimes more than even the native citizens. Secondly, the peaceful nature of the nation makes it more comfortable for anyone. According to my research, it's only in Uganda where it's very easy to change your nationality to be Ugandans. Take a look whereby you will even see people from other countries participate in the election and rule over the citizens, and problem is for them after getting to use our nation, they end up fighting the native citizens, promoting segregation. would be nice to know the example of one who's ruling and is not Ugandan. Hula Hagai.
Well,
But thank you.
that is an illegality. And if you're discovered, for example, if a non-Ugandan is found with a Ugandan national ID, it's a crime.
It's illegal, although it's happening.
But it's criminal. If you have evidence and you go to police and you go to the Director of Immigration, NIRA, it is trouble for that person.
Right.
So we won't talk about illegalities because we know they're illegal. Even those people that, just as sometimes in this country someone talks about something, they don't go ahead to prosecute or follow the matter to the letter. We talk about her. That person is not a Ugandan. You know, it is not a Ugandan. Go bring evidence. Even if it is at a very high ranking position and you have evidence and the law says it should be a Ugandan, then unless you don't forget their procedures you can go through.
Definitely. So allow me
and become a Ugandan,
more of
naturalization and all that.
Right. I believe you definitely speak into more of these comments that are coming through. Good morning, Julian Robert. This is Cricket Derek Gagamel. As usual, with our land shortage and low GDP, we've been always bragging about being one of the countries that host the highest number of refugees. And our open door policy could welcome every Tom, Dick and Harry without genuine vetting. Now these people no longer want to stay in refugee camps, but with the much freedom they get here, without work permits, they can access everything and every place they want. Now they are competing with natives with our little resources, and in some areas like Kansanga, Kabalagala, Gaba, they are outnumbering the local. I conclude by appealing to the government to revise our refugee policy before we are overwhelmed. What's your take on that?
100% I agree with Cricket Derek that at a time T, you know, when you read the Bible very well, which I'm very sure of you, Julie, you do, we saw some refugees that went to a certain country. And later, they left that country almost with nothing. Is it the Israelis?
The Jews.
The Jews? Who had to carry this Joseph's body or something like that back. That's all they went with. Now, when these people outnumber the indigenous, it becomes a problem. We must revise our refugee policy. But also Ugandans must understand that we have what we call porous borders. That not all refugees go through the formal borders.
Yep, that's
when
true.
Running away from these calamities. And remember, some, because they have known that Uganda is a land of peace that flows with milk and honey, this is what they do. Even in areas where it is peaceful, they would come to Uganda. And I'm happy Uganda proposes a plan for voluntary refugee repatriation amid its raising concerns.
Do elaborate.
That if we are sure you are running away from war, let me just use one of the countries like Rwanda, because you have many Rwandese or Rwandese refugees that came to Uganda. Now Rwanda is safe. Go back. Because you're running away from that country to temporarily be in Uganda.
Survive, yeah.
Now when peace has been restored, go back to that country. If you're willing to go back, because that is voluntary, whatever you need, paperwork or what, government helps you get that, and you leave Uganda peacefully.
Uganda's open door policy, as we begin to close this conversation, is a gift from God to the world. If the world abandons Uganda for hosting over 1.7 million refugees, God will punish the world. Shaban Ali in Soroti City. And finally, Minsaki from Jinja. Refugee presence has benefited Uganda nothing, only to bother our parliament for nothing. Let them be handed to their respective countries. It looks like a number of Ugandans are disgruntled by
truth be told,
refugees.
A number of Ugandans get that. There's a place I usually go to around Lukulinanganda, but a stretch all the way from a place, a very big stretch, you can hardly find a Ugandan walking. Bostoni, Rukuri, hardly. Evening hours. One time I parked by the main road. My journalistic instincts were like, but they already outnumbered the people you could see.
Right.
Now, my only prayer is, These refugees, we need to revise our refugee policy, but also I call upon the world. We are bleeding with a problem that is not ours created. Come to our rescue.
Right.
Because we are rescuing people. And finally and most importantly, we cannot continue having refugees in this country. Because believe you me, at one time we won't have what it takes to have them. But we can find ending solutions to the problems that produce refugees.
Right.
Because these are man-made problems. And I'm happy when I see our president spearheading talks, efforts to ensure there is peace. When our gallant sons go to Somalia to traverse the different areas to have peace. Because let's address the problem from the source. Ugandans are not refugees because we are in a peaceful country. So let's ensure that these countries that are producing refugees,
right,
they are peaceful, and these people, when your country is peaceful, go back.
Indeed. Good morning, UBC. As we close this is a closing remark. I agree with when the three countries are at peace, let them go back, or let government have a plan immediately when their places are settled. Thank you so much for being on the show. It's Good Morning Uganda. JMU Tourism Express up next.
My question is, what is the difference between rental tax and income tax? How comes I'm paying both taxes on my own premises? If you want to have a tin, but you are not making any income from your business, you should take on the obligation to continue filing your nil return.
General, to invest in taxation. When people understand taxes and they know the importance of taxes and they know the fair assessment of these taxes they're supposed to pay, I think everybody will embrace taxation.
As banning groupage cargo clearance protects small traders who cannot afford to import full container loads individually and rely on consolidation to remain competitive. Cargo to come in groupage is consolidation, it's legitimate, and we can't ban it. What we have banned, or what we have stopped, is the use of container leaders. Now, Fiona, the good news I have for you is that among the new tax proposals,
Now you can get direct answers. Send your tax-related questions via WhatsApp or SMS to 0790-141-887 and the Commissioner General of URA, John Musinguzi, will personally address them. Tune in to UBC News Tonight every Monday and Wednesday for expert insights and clear explanations. Booza Commissioner.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda. by Uniquely Ours. Explore Uganda.
Egyptian influencers on a familiarization tour of Uganda have commended the country's local fruit value chains and hospitality as they journeyed from Murchison Falls National Park towards Chibale, en route to Impenetrable National Park, highlighting emerging opportunities in agri-tourism and destination marketing.
To invite all my colleagues, my friends, my community, my country to visit Uganda, because it's a place where they will all enjoy, and they will feel that they are not far away from their country. It's one source of water, one Nile, one country, one community. We are all together living in one planet and living in one continent, and there is a lot of common things between us. I love Uganda, and I hope that all the Egyptians coming here to see what I saw.
Passing from Asindi to Hoima, the delegation engaged with roadside vendors observing informal trade in fresh produce such as pineapples, mangoes and jackfruit, an ecosystem that supports local livelihoods and tourism supply chains.
طعمه جميل جدا. ده البطيخ الأوغندي، يعني انصح الكل اللي هو يجربه الصراحه، لا طعمه حلو جدا. Good. One more bite. Wait. Okay.
The journey onward to Fort Portal revealed expensive tea estates, underscoring the region's agricultural potential and its link to hospitality and export markets. The influencers noted that Uganda's appeal extends beyond wildlife to include its people, culture, and everyday economic activity, positioning the country as a holistic tourism investment destination. They proceed to Chibale National Park before concluding in Windi, as stakeholders intensify efforts to align tourism promotion with the trade and enterprise development. I'm Bantu Machabe Samambo, reporting for UBC.
Brought to you by Uniquely Ours. Explore Uganda.
Matters Business, the Presidential Chief Executive Officers Forum has recommitted to supporting the private sector in overcoming investment barriers. Now, during a high-level engagement with the development partners, the acting board chairperson, Mathias Katamba, emphasized the need to make potential investors more aware of the available opportunities and the returns on investment in Uganda. Let's take a look at this.
The engagement between the Presidential CEO Forum and the development partners focused on exploring Uganda's investment potential, highlighting the availability of key factors of production across different sectors.
Having to support direct influence of industrial policy and ease of doing business. If we talk about having Uganda to be the next destination of tourism, how are we going to support the 26 taxes that are affecting the tourism sector? And as such, we're in talks with the different entities, Trade, Ministry of Finance, as well as URA, to merge those taxes, the 26 into 5, so that we can support that sector.
When the Vision 2040 was coming, it said Uganda has a number of opportunities, like we have been listed: agro, tourism, minerals, mention it. However, these need to be harnessed with the number of fundamentals and enablers.
The forum aims to encourage the private sector to align with government development strategies in line with objectives of the National Development Plan 4.
And for us to be the bridge for them, working with our private sector partners is a crucial aspect. So it's value we create for our private sector partners, and it's value we create for the development partners that are aligned on the development agenda.
Addressing investment barriers remains a key priority, with the stakeholders citing challenges such as bureaucratic processes in obtaining investment clearances and limited coordination across government entities.
Before you do value addition in a country, you have to look to the market. Is this product I want to add value really have a market? And this is where the hub comes in.
You don't have silos, that you are able to take the benefit of cohesion and economies of scale to see that it's not single track growth, but that there's growth across the spectrum.
The forum is profiling CEOs as a strategy to better categorize and tailor support to different investors.
The mandate of necessity since our establishment is to really bridge that gap between the private sector and government. And this, I want to tell you, as our development partners, we've achieved it in so many ways. We continue to influence the bills on our financial budgets. The bill on zero VAT on e-mobility was because of the resolution that emanated from one of our retreats.
Government says strengthening the resilience of the private sector will accelerate domestic production and enhance Uganda's competitiveness in regional and international markets. Abdunasile Lubwama and Rogers Komagum for UBC.
Well, thank you, Abdunasir. Now, the Ministry of Education and Sports has urged the academia to leverage on artificial intelligence in finding solutions to modern societal challenges. This was while officiating at the 5th Research and Innovation Dissemination Workshop at Kyambogo University. Officials emphasized the significance of promoting homegrown solutions.
Kyambogo University has showcased research innovations offering technical, homegrown solutions to various societal challenges. These innovations were exhibited at the 5th STEAM Festival with emphasis on the role of artificial intelligence in developing local solutions.
And as a country, our chief guest, I think we need an AI policy as a country. How do we use AI? This conference also provides a platform for our researchers to showcase their findings, share lessons, and engage with stakeholders who can translate these innovations into real world.
The Ministry of Education and Sports has called on academia to embrace technology in advancing the country's digital agenda.
We must invest in artificial intelligence, literacy, as well as skills development, and ensure its ethical and responsible use, but also promote locally relevant AI solutions that address our unique challenges.
The Kyambogo University STEAM Festival aims at demystifying science, technology and innovation as key drivers of technological development.
It presents immense opportunities in areas such as healthcare, agriculture, manufacturing and governance. However, to fully harness its potential, we must ensure that our education systems are aligned with emerging technologies and industry needs.
Learners also showcased innovative projects expected to drive the economic transformation,
whereby we've studied the properties of a fiber which is biocompatible with the body. Here comes a fiber that can be produced, number one, that can be stitched in a short period of time, can be biocompatible with our body, as well as biodegradable. That means it has no effect on someone, just mere stitching with it, it will cover up that wound and it doesn't leave any scar with the body.
The students have called on government to invest in their creativity and impactful innovations that contribute to national development.
So we lack machines. But once we are equipped with all machines, we can further go into the innovations, especially now the electrospinning stuff.
Chambogo University intends to strengthen its research programs to enhance problem solving through research and publications. Komagum Rogers and Abdul Nasir Luwama for UBC.
And finally, let's look at illegal sand mining, where at least 2 excavators and sino trucks have been impounded in Ndugwa village, Mayuge district, during the operation carried out by NEMA together with other sister agencies. The operation is part of the ongoing efforts to curb illegal sand mining activities that are increasingly putting communities at risk.
Ndua village is among several hotspots in Mayuge district where illegal sand mining has intensified, raising concerns over rising water contamination and environmental destruction. In a coordinated compliance operation aimed at restoring environmental integrity, NEMA enforcement team together with other sister agencies mounted an operation to crack down illegal activities in Mayuge district. The operation resulted in the impounding of heavy machinery including 2 excavators and 2 snow trucks suspected to have been used in unauthorized sand extraction. At the site, miners were found to be using hazardous methods of mining, including chemicals that they discharge into the waters and swamps, causing contamination of water bodies. The L1 chairperson called on NEMA to intensify routine monitoring and enforcement to streamline operations and ensure compliance with environmental regulations.
Tusaba nti government ya President Museveni ikiriza omulanga gwendi kusaba basobola okutusembekeza ekitebe kya NEMA bakituwe gano ku kyalo kyaife ekyenduwa tusobola okuyizaawo obutonde obwensi.
Some of the sand mining site owners say they have valid mining permits which authorities are yet to verify.
People illegally encroaching on wetlands or forests or riverbanks or lake shores must leave or be removed by force.
Illegal sand mining in Ndua has accelerated soil erosion, increasing water runoff of the shoreline, which has in turn contributed to destruction of infrastructure. Contamination of water in the area has also raised serious public health concerns like access to clean water and threats against aquatic life, among others.
People living in Uganda who are in any way or the other involved in environment degradation to repent. Because if they don't repent, law enforcement will catch up with them.
NEMA has reaffirmed its commitment to sustaining nationwide enforcement and noting that the crackdown on illegal mining is part of the broader efforts to enforce environmental compliance and promote sustainable use of natural resources. Susan Naung and Andrew Sebira reporting for UBC TV.
Thank you, Susan and Andrew. Now let's look at the Forex, where the United States dollar opening as of yesterday was at 3,696.67 and selling was at 3,706.67. By midday, it was at 3,702.38, that is buying and selling 3,712.38. Closing, the United States dollar was at 3,700.00 and selling was at 3,710.00. The Great Britain pound closing was at 5,000.92 and selling was at 5,015.54. The euro closing was at 4,343.43 and selling was at 4,355.91. Now the Kenyan shilling was at 28.61, buying and selling was at 28.75. The Tanzanian shilling was at 1.40, buying and selling was at 1.43. Closing it with the South African rand, which was at 225.04, buying and selling 225.69. Well, that is as of yesterday, but today you can move around and see which Forex Bureau gives you the best deal. Keep it with us. Julie next with Good Morning Uganda agenda.
Talk of the day on UBC.
He expected me to die like within the first 2 years.
Out of the blue, the child will get pains, especially in the wrists. And this happens commonly when children are starting to walk.
Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah yo, baby dondolo.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Notice is hereby given that the Clerk to Parliament will on the 13th, 14th and 15th of May 2026 at Parliament House administer the oath of allegiance and the oath of Member of Parliament to each person elected as Member of Parliament in accordance with the following schedule. Wednesday, 13th May 2026 from 8 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Honorable Ayo Joyce Makamoy to Honorable Babidi Mili Babalanda. From 2 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., Honorable Babula Noel Kataike Matilda to Honorable Kanabi Jime. Thursday, 14th May 2026, from 8 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., Honorable Kangwaje Stephen Rakanuma to Honorable Uchamuzi David Kalwanga. From 2 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., Honorable Lule Eria Eric to Honorable Nambeshi John Baptist. Friday, 15th May 2026, from 8 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., Honorable Namboze Teddy to Honorable Opolot Patrick. 2 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., Honorable Opolot Okwalinga Simon Peter to Honorable Zawide Victorious. Please note that each member-elect of Parliament is requested to collect his or her invitation card, program booklet and biodata form from the office of the